Hi, this is Tom Mayers. I'm using my new AX53 camera by Sony, and I got it for myself for Christmas, and I'm just trying to take it out of the drawer and use it. So what we're doing here is some dock work, and we have been working on this dock since it was originally built in 1956. My parents spent a lot of money to have a professional dock building company build the dock, and within a matter of from 1956, within a matter of 4 or 5 years, the dock started having problems. So I grew up looking at this dock, trying to fix problems that were going on with the dock, and one of the first problems we had was that they had put the decking down with 8-penny nails, and the 8-penny nails were rusting through and just caused problems because the boards were warping and people would stub their toes on them. And so it's been something that my whole life we've been dealing with this. Then the bolts started rusting through, the stringers started going bad, and so it's just been one thing after another with the dock. And we've rebuilt the dock 2 times since the original dock was built. But my earliest memory, so 1956, I was like 5 years old. So I watched these people building the dock, and they used creosote pilings, which were the standard in those days. And the dock company that did it, I'm assuming that was just the way they built docks, but it certainly didn't last very long. So as we've done each reiteration of the dock, we've tried to improve things. And about 30 years ago, we put in pilings, and the pilings were we put them in, we had a barge, and we put them in so they were like 6 to 8 feet in the ground, and they were just where the old pilings were. We just replaced the old creosote pilings with the new marine treated pilings. So right now we're doing some dock work, and I just thought it might be of interest to you to see how we are working on our dock and some of the methods that we're using. Yeah, there's only so many elements to the dock, and you've got the pilings, you have what we call riders, which carry the stringers. Those are the pieces that go across the dock at a 90-degree angle, so they support the stringers, and then the stringers carry the decking. So those are the simple elements to the dock, and each one has to be addressed when you're talking about keeping the dock going and keeping it from falling in. So these pilings are about 30 years old, and I put them in, and we did a good job putting them in, but they just started, the preservative started leaching out. So the deck's been replaced actually 2 times, and the pilings have been replaced once. So now we're just going back after 30 years and putting new pilings on some of the ones that are eaten through, and it's just amazing to see the way the worms ate through the pilings. So anyway, this is just an attempt to show you what we're doing here at Land's End and how you can do dock repair without a barge. Okay, here we are about to replace a piling that's 30 years old, and we have built this thing we call it the contraption, and we just, for lack of a better term, that's what we came up with. And the purpose of this little box that's sitting on top of the dock is to help support the piling and the dock so that it doesn't sag when you take the pilings out. So now we're using it just to get to this end piling, and we're going to go ahead and tie it on, and by tying it onto the stringers, it should just support everything. So that's what we're doing. I'm just going to go ahead and start doing that. All right. I got Jesse underneath the dock, and he's handing the string up and down we're just tying this contraption into place. We're gonna have to go the other side over to here, Jesse. Right here, look. Right in this crack. You see? No, the one I've got the cord through. Right here, look. Yeah. It's just we have a problem with that. Okay, so this is a string. It's like maybe 300 to 500 pound test. I used to sail a lot, and I used it on the boats all the time. So if it's 300 to 500 pound test, and every time you do a loop with it, all of a sudden you got to go up more. Jesse, push it in. Okay, let me get it. Okay, we'll go one more time around. So anyway, you just do the math. 3 times 3 to 500 is 900 pounds to 1,500 pounds of tension that it'll take. So we're just tying this line tight, and what that does is, let's see, we want to move it a little bit. So when we do this, we just tie this line, and now we have, over probably 1,000 pounds of pressure that this line can take. So we're just putting this here to just get this contraption in place. And this nylon line is great for people to use. And I'm not even sure it's nylon. It could be Dacron or something else. But that's how we're securing this in place. And we move it around with rollers. We have over here, we have rollers. You can see them, PVC rollers. And there's our little 2-inch Honda pump. So we have this little contraption with the Honda pump, move it around with rollers, and that's how we do this. Okay, here we are. We've got that thing tied up with our contraption. Jesse's knocking the bolt out. The next thing we'll do is take that piling out. Once we get the pump started and get the piling out, we'll use the the decking that's already there as sort of a template as to where the piling goes. We'll put the new piling in. This is Jesse. He's the helper. He helped build the dock about 15 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago. And so these repairs we're doing on this dock is just going to give it another 5 to 10 years of life. We're just taking everything that looks bad and trying to fix it. So you can see how we use that nylon cord, and the nylon cord is just it's available in most sailing stores or marine stores. And it's like 300 to 500 pound test, and you wrap it around several times, and it's strong. So now we're going to go ahead and turn the pump on and start jetting. So that's the next step. Yeah, so you've got the contraption in place. It's really just holding that deck up so that we can take that piling out. And we're going to replace the small walkway out there once we get the new piling in, but we're just using it as a template to put the piling in. And the boat you see in the background is a boat I single-handed for years and sailed. It's an old race boat, and Sprite and I are good friends, and she's been around for a long time. She was built in 1968. She was built as a race boat for one of the better known sailors on Tampa Bay, Joe Byers, and I sailed with him for years. So we've got the pump right here ready to go, new Honda pump. Got the hose, the intake hose and the outlet hose, and Jesse's going to get some screws. And then you see over here you've got the picnic table with the rollers under it. And so we're just trying to document this, and we just are replacing pilings that look really bad at this point, and any stringers or decking that needs replacing. It's just an ongoing process. When you build these docks, you get a 5-year warranty, and then after that you're kind of on your own. And we've been lucky. It's been about 10 years since we redecked the dock using the pilings that were here, the 30-year-old piling. So we are just doing the standard repairs that people have to do on docks like this all the time. Yeah, the decking on this dock is cypress. It's sort of unusual, and the story of that is that a friend of mine who I used to buy lumber from out in Myakka told me that he was dying of cancer, and that he wanted to sell his lumber mill. And I told him I wasn't interested in the mill, but I'd buy all the lumber he had in order to build this dock, because obviously there's a lot of docks. So we bought cypress at a good price. It was 50 cents a board foot, and that was, to me, a really good price, and he was happy to do it. And we actually went and milled the cypress at his mill, and that was fun. We actually cut the boards, from logs, and saw the process. It was like the Waltons, it was just a big diesel engine running a big, 5 or 6 foot blade. It was like a giant circular saw blade, and we cut them into pieces. We got them rough cut, and then he had a planer, and we planed them to thickness. So that's how we did it originally, and we've made some changes, and the cypress holds up pretty good. The stringers have to be marine treated, pressure treated pine stringers, that's for sure. But the decking cypress works pretty good. I mean, here you are 10 years later, and we're just replacing boards here and there. That's pretty routine. And the new material they have is pressure treated pine, and here comes Jesse. So if you look up at the base of the dock, you'll see some work that we did, and that's with pressure treated pine, and it's a new decking material they have, and it's worked pretty well for us. And so we're doing all the new work with that just because I got tired of dealing with lumber mills. I had a bad experience trying to get wood from somebody. And so I just figured, we just go with what's normal. So the normal thing now is these, these pressure treated decks. So that's what we built the new additions to the house with, and you can see it there. So we're going to start the pump up, and we're going to start working on this piling and try to get it out. And it'll probably take us half an hour to get the piling out. Then we'll just bring a new piling in and try to put it in the same spot. Yeah, here's a better look at the new decking material. And it's just pressure treated pine, but it's supposed to have some sort of special treatment where it's not toxic, so that people can come and sunbathe on it. And it's just a standard new material and decking. And we don't know how it's going to do, but if it lasts 10 years, that will be pretty good. And so that's all. And like I said, the elements of the dock, we use stainless steel 3-inch screws now. We use stainless steel bolts. We have for years. I was one of the first people around here to start using stainless steel bolts, because the bolts had a life expectancy of 5 to 10 years. So the bolts were going, and you're having to replace these old rusty bolts that were just actually rusting through. So we use stainless steel bolts, and now they're from China, and they don't cost that much more than galvanized bolts, so there's no reason not to use them. But we use 3-inch screws, and this new decking, and we use the rough sawn pine pressure treated, heavy pressure treated stringers, which we're fighting termites and rot. That's the two elements that we're fighting. So that's pretty much it. These are new decks we built out of that new material, and it seems to be working good. Okay, this is just to show you how we jet. Got a PVC pipe because it's light and it's strong enough, and then we have the 2-inch pump that's pumping water. Seems to be plenty strong enough for what we're doing. We're putting 8-inch butt pilings in. I got Jesse out there. I'm going to go join him, but I just want to document each section. So right now he's going around the piling to loosen the piling up. Once he gets the piling loose, it breaks free from the soil around it. You'll have a piling that we can just pull out, and then there'll be a hole left there. So he's just working on that now, and I'm going to go join him. I just wanted to document this, and this camera, this 4K camera, first thing Sony told me was to take the settings and turn it to 1080, which is kind of crazy, just to bypass the 4K and go to 1080, because I'm producing MP4s for videos, and I don't really need it. Now you see he's got that piling right there all by himself, and no big deal. It just shows you how useful I am. Yeah, so here's the elements of the piling. We bring it up to the shore, and then we use those PVC rollers to roll it with, because it just helps to have some mechanical advantage. And you can see about 6 feet in the ground, and then up above that you start to see worm damage and the ravages of time. That's 30 years. So you think of what 30 years has done to you, look what it's done to this piling. So here's the piling, and you can see that's the top of the piling, and as you go down you can see the where it's just weathered and rotting and whatever. And then we get to this point where the worms are underwater and they kind of have their way with things, and so that's just what we're dealing with. Is we're dealing with holes that actually go through, and that you can see through to the other side. So I'm about the size of your fist or bigger, and that's what we have. So we're replacing these with new pilings. It'll last for probably another 30 years. And then you see underneath the sand that the piling looks fairly good, but we have found wormholes that go down pretty far into the piling. So even though it looks good, some of this is worm eaten, especially close to where the barnacles end and the sand was covering up the piling. Yeah, here's some examples of wormholes, and you can see that the worms just go crazy once the preservative is gone. The worms have their way with it. So I bet that wood's pretty good. At least the worms seem to like it. So that's it. These are just pieces. This is show and tell, so that I can show people the damage to the pilings that we're replacing. And call me crazy, but every 30 years you might need to replace pilings. Bye. So these are the new pilings over here. You can see them. There's a pile of them. And then we just move them down to the water. Here's one that we're about to get, and that'll be the replacement piling. So this piling cost about, I don't know, 60, 70 bucks, something like that. They're 16 foot, 8-inch butt, marine treated piling. So, so that's what we're using. This is the replacement piling, going to replace the other one. Okay, here it is. We've got the contraption there, and we got the pole in, and we you know, got it down that far, got it straight, and it just wouldn't go down any further. So we just, instead of taking more time, it's about 6 feet in the ground now. We're just leaving it the way it is. We'll cut it off. But the contraption's holding that that little walkway out so that we could work off of it. And we got the ropes, that nylon rope or Dacron rope that's holding the walkway up, and the piling's in place. We had trouble getting the lower end, towards the bridge, so we put that block and tackle on it, and the block and tackle seemed to solve the problem. So there you go, and there's the contraption, and all the details. So we're just trying to show how we're doing this. So anyway, that's it.